Hey YouTube, again it's December 14th and topic is A. Why am I not anti-Semite in essence, and B. What are the lowest levels of conspiracy, essentially what is a conspiracy theory. So first of all, what are the lowest levels of the conspiracy, and that's why it's going to be this hot issue answered. The lowest level of conspiracies are following. You have, and I entered into conspiracy research in year 2000 via these books. This being one of them was a Jesuit book, another one was a book of another Catholic author, and these been books about New World Order, Novi Svjetski Poredak, translated on Croatian language in the pre-internet time, roughly. 98 was internet for me, but still it was difficult to get books and other relevant information. So I borrowed books from library, and these books were all about that conspiracy is the work of the Anglo-Saxons, and especially British, of course, and Americans, and Masonry is their product, and this is how that kind of elite, imperial elite, was attacking Catholic countries like Italy and like Spain and Franco and Mussolini, and these guys been trying to defend against this Masonic interest, Masonic kind of attack. And they've been using, of course, Jews and communists for their bidding. So this is this kind of discourse. Novi Svjetski Poredak is the work of the Protestants and of the, of course, Anglo-Saxons, who are working against Catholic Church, which is the only good church, the stone of, what Jesus said, Peter, you are my stone, on this stone, blah, blah, you're gonna build a church. And therefore, they are the protection from this essentially satanic force, literally. Then you have the Protestant conspiracy, which is opposite, which is saying we Lutherans, we are the good guys, and the Harlot of Babylon, the Jesuits, these are the conspirators. They've been killing people, they've been torturing people in the Inquisition, and so on and so on and so on. And of course, you guys know this discourse because many are coming from this discourse. So this is this classical, I call it Anglo-Saxon conspiratorial discourse. Then you have the Muslim discourse, which is saying that it's Illuminati are the white guys, Westerners and Jews, and they simply need to be crushed because they are Shaitan and they are enemy of a good Allah. And then in the whole story you have, of course, Jews, it's the Jews are behind everything, and then they show you the pictures of the Soros and I forgot the names of the old media guys who own pretty much all media apart few YouTube channels like this one and the YouTube and the Facebook. So it really looks plausible. Problem is, it's actually cheap talk. It's extremely cheap talk because it's it's the Illuminati and the reptiles. It happened to be the reptile alien farm, this planet. So where are the Jews in the whole story? Jews and other groups, people also say Anglo-Saxons as well, blonde and blue-eyed people as well, many of those are actually, those tentacles of the system. So what happens with the Jews, that not all Jews are inside, but Jews have, especially Ashkenazi Jews, have this extra proportionally level of reptiles inside in Illuminati, and other Jews are part of that culture in the sense they simply tag along and cooperate with. And I heard somewhere data that out of 1% of the richest in states, 43% or something are Jews. So yeah, of course, as we say in Croatian, gdje ima dima ima I vatre, where there is a smoke, there is also a fire. So absolutely there is something there. However, to put the whole reptilian Illuminati conspiracy behind one ethnic group is cheap talk. Okay? And same goes for all others, or all other groups, right? So this is essentially why am I not anti-Semite, although on my Facebook account says that I really don't like to make friendships among other groups with the Ashkenazi Jew. Now that sounds anti-Semitic, right? No, I don't really hate them. Thing is, I just, in my contacts with Ashkenazi Jews and in Jews in general, I just find out one golden rule, that is, none of them really believes in conspiracy, and they are all kind of in line with the official thought policy, and this is the simple reason why not. Not that I find them to be all inside, that would be paranoid, right? Statistically paranoid and wrong. That's pretty much about that. Mind your steps. Don't fall into these cheap conspiracy theories, which are using bits and parts of conspiracy to use that against the other group. Because we've been there in the Second World War in Europe. Now I'm just gonna say it. My mother's, my grandmother's mother was Sepharad Jewish. She was married into the Croatian Catholic family. She's the only person who survived the Second World War, which is kind of connected to that story of archetype, kind of cliche of rich Jews. So how she survived Second World War was more connected to the poverty. You see, her rich Jewish father, who was working as the coffer, as the baggage carrier on the railroad station in Sarajevo, and lived in Koševo in the 19th century and turn of the century. That family was, of course, killed in Jasenovac concentration camp, apart from her. So he was basically a guy who was carrying luggage. That was his job. And he could not afford to support all of his 3 children, so he put a daughter into the Catholic children's home, and she changed name was changed for her from Etelka Debuš into Josefina, because that was the name of the emperor's wife at the time, Kaiser Franz Josef. And she became a Catholic, and later on worked as a servant in a house of my family. We've been managing some factory back then, and she got married after that with the man of the house when the first wife died, which is kind of, people been always falling out with the servants. That was normal. So that's the story of my origin, and they've been Sepharad. And my grandmother, she was always telling me when I was a boy, Saffarads are the poor people, are the poor Jews. They are from Spain. They are workers. They are like artisans. His brother was a rich guy. He had a singer machine, the sewing machine. He was making coats. That was his only property. That was like huge thing for them. So Sepharad are these, and Ashkenazi, the Jews from Germany. They are doctors. They are lawyers. They are very educated. They are elite. They are nothing like Sepharad. So 2 different things. And this is something what I figured out even as a child. It was clear to me that somebody given to the orphanage in Austro-Hungary, must be poor, right? So, one little digression, and whole that family ended up in concentration camp Jasenovac. They've been sending yellow cards, like to my grandma. Šaljite šta bilo, nužda ne pita, ne mora bit košer. My mother remembers that. I never seen those. They've been always hiding this stuff from us kids. Really hiding. Like, psh, don't talk. Really, that was the atmosphere. So I know only just bits and parts from my mother. Nothing from my grandmother. Very, very little. She just said a couple of incidents, what she saw, like nasty things from the Second World War. And kind of very personal to talk about that as well, because I still have pictures of these family members killed in Jasenovac. In Jasenovac, Croatian Nazis have been killing them with knives and with hammers in a very gruesome way, also torturing, walling people alive in houses, and completely different way of killing than Germans been doing in an industrial but a much quicker way with the gas. So they even had like a hot room, just a cage with a big cage with logs of wood underneath, and they were just throwing Jews and others inside and burning them alive. That was also an invention. So yeah, that's my problem. And then the whole that Holocaust by the Hitler, by the reptilian shapeshifter, puppet Hitler and Himmler and all of them, was because these Jews were the part of the conspiracy, which was, of course, working through the Rothschilds. And you see, this is the problem. It's the truth that Rothschilds are scheming through the history. But The scapegoats are people like you and me, simply born into the system, and then at one point you just get fucked, in a plain French. And now you understand me. That is precisely why I despise that talk, because I know where it leads to. And the second thing is, just to make the full circle. So, and then 1990s came, and revenge for that period came, and they targeted, this time Serbs targeted my family out of some collective punishment for the Jasenovac and everything. It's just, we got fucked again. And because Serbs been killed in Jasenovac, Croatian anti-fascists, gypsies, Jews, I mean many other nationalities, everybody whose system didn't like back then. How many? Serbs say 700,000 people, Croats 80,000 people, relevant data says 240,000 people, information out of the bookkeeper from the concentration camp Jasenovac and Gradiška, who was keeping the numbers. Just giving you a piece of data, how many people? 240,000 realistically, and more. So this is where these dangerous twists in cheap conspiracies can lead people to do mass murder. When we start thinking that one or another group is the enemy, and then we end up in a bloodbath. As I say, my family members, 3 generations of us, witnessed already 2 of those. And it's not fun when it's happening. It's lots of stress. And you lose pretty much everything. Property, you lose bits and parts of the property, whatever you managed to achieve in those decades of peace. You lose family members, whole parts of the family, and we don't really have big natality. And you just disappear. It's just a genocide on me, on you, on us, right? That's why you need to watch yourself from these talks where they pushing humans against humans, essentially. And this leads me to the topic of Europe at this time, and what is awaiting in Europe. Of course, it's a civil war and a genocide, and maybe even I think this time genocide gonna be on us, on whites, on non-Muslims in Europe. We are still majority, but that is changing very quickly, historically speaking. And they're gonna use this sotoniziranje, this smearing against us, and yeah, you have my point. Okay, don't buy into these bullshits, which are very easy to buy, because of course that the system, that the reptiles are really pushing them out there in the market. And I'm very active now on a Facebook, and essentially, guys, I really don't want to argue with people on Facebook in the community too much, but it's really very poisonous scene. I've seen quite a bit of Illuminati running very big kind of conspiracy projects, and you always have the same. It's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews. Cheap talk, cheap talk, cheap talk. Nothing they you will notice on those websites and on those projects, they don't put anything in a big picture. Nobody is really telling you there is a problem. This is just a farm of alien race. Your souls, some of you, just put inside the body, and milked, and everything is manipulation. No, they play all the way this spin, pointing to the Jews. And if Jews are bad, that means all others are good, right? Scapegoating, how it works. Very effective.